slept to alternates our freshman year.
Wait,
so.
I need to tell Shirley that I am
a liar.
Yeah.
Hi, Shirley. State Clause don't. State Clause doesn't allow hybrids.
Nor do any leechers.
We're kind of in a rut.
So,
who's gonna be your partner?
Los Altos.
Oh.
Who's gonna be your partner though?
Maybe
No
someone
one.
else from Envy.
Possibly carrying a hybrid.
Possibly Grace if she feels up to
She
it.
said maybe State Clause, SCU2, and Prospect.
Prospect, sure.
They can't
SU2,
do-
sure. They still can't do state polls. Yeah.
Alright.
Whenever
Okay.
y'all are ready.
Carlin, give your papers.
I don't have a lot of.
Someone's
it.
timing this, right?
I am.
I have a lot of
Oh, I shouldn't have my computer at all. Here, you don't need.
I honestly don't have a lot.
I don't have anything either. I had my nose.
I told her to research stuff!
Why is Envy's internet not verified?
I'm sorry, I was really distracted, and I promise I was better yesterday. Daeny, I was better yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, it wasn't working yesterday either.
I
got back from break.
Apparently.
What does this mean?
What?
First bullet point.
Oh, he disaster.
You guys are dysfunctional.
We gave them enough water.
You guys are dysfunctional.
What?
Can I disregard the everyday?
Sure. I don't know. My nose. Maybe I bled out some brain fluid as well. Because I don't.
Just go. Okay. This is going to be okay.
Amazing.
It is, of course.
And it is an actual church.
Okay.
And that you have to try, even though you have a lousy case.
Okay.
And a lovely partner.
You are not lousy, stop this.
Carlin, you're really good.
Shh. Exactly. What Christie said.
Because I only have two
I
more
didn't
pairs of
actually
jeans.
want to know.
Okay.
Are they boyfriend jeans? They're really cute.
Okay. As the leader of the affirmative team, I strongly affirm today's resolution that the U.S. federal government should send humanitarian aid for drought relief to Ethiopia. As a brief roadmap, I'm going to be going over framework, then address the affirmative team's two independent contentions. Okay. Right into framework. So humanitarian aid, we're defining it as food assistance. And so our plan for this round, the actor is the U.S. federal government, time frame as soon as possible, funding through normal ways and means, and our plan text is that the U.S. federal government will provide humanitarian aid as soon as possible through normal ways and means to Ethiopia for drought relief. Okay. Going right into the case, so our first contention is about lives. So uniqueness from, this is Ethiopia's worst drought in 50 years, and from February to December 2015, the number of people who are affected by this drought, who are actually going to starve due to this drought, increased from 2.9 million to 10.2 million. Now, the aid in the status quo is insufficient because right now we only have $359 million combined, not just the Ethiopian government, but also all the international aid right now. That's how much we have, but we need $1.4 billion for it to actually do anything. $1.4 billion paid to actually do anything. And unless donations increase, over 15 million Ethiopians are going to suffer from this drought, and they're going to starve. Yes.
So how much money currently is being provided to Ethiopia?
$359 million. Right. Okay, so links here. By providing food assistance, we're going to reduce the number of people who are starving, who are on the brink of starving, who need this aid. And so we're actually going to be saving their lives because we're directly providing food assistance. We're not giving money or whatever else. We're actually giving them food to eat so that actually directly saves their lives. And so, as you can see here, there are 10.2, as I said before, there are 10.2 million lives, 10.2 million people who are suffering from this drought. And so we would actually be saving them because we would be providing food assistance directly to them. Okay. Moving on to address second contention about how the United States aid is already effective. Okay, so currently in the status quo, U.S. US8 is already effective. Like it's actually helped a lot of people, and we've seen how it's worked before. For example, in Haiti, the Haiti disaster relief that we provided 2.5 million to 3 million people with water, and that was very successful. And so we've so clearly U.S. food aid has actually worked before. Okay. Right now in the status quo, U.S. food aid is actually being reformed, and once it's done with this reformation, once the reforms have actually been passed, we're actually going to be able to increase our ability to provide food aid. So we're actually going to increase the number of people that we can provide for by 10 million, according to the Center for Global Development. Yes.
So how would you define that? How do you know that the aid given by the U.S. to Haiti was effective? What do you define? How do you know it's effective?
It was effective because we've actually been able to get this aid to the people, and we've actually been able to save their lives by providing them with the things that they actually need to live. Okay. So links here. So clearly, as we've seen, U.S. aid is very effective already in the status quo. So we're going to be able to, even if the reforms don't pass by the time we give aid to Ethiopia, we're going to be able to help these people who are in danger of losing their lives and of starving because of the drought. And if we do not give aid until after the reforms are fully passed, we're going to see that we're actually going to be more effective, because we can actually focus more attention on Ethiopia. Yes. Okay. Yeah, so impacts here, we're going to be saving lives, obviously. So clearly, yes. Okay. Clearly, for these two reasons of lives and of being historically effective, I strongly affirm today's resolution.
Okay, so as the first speaker of the negation team, I'm going to go over framework. So I'm going to address the definition of the AF team, and I'm going to go on to address their contention, then move on to the neg teams, disads, and then our counter plan. So time starts now. So as the first speaker of the negation team, I strongly affirm today's resolution. The SFG should fund humanitarian aid for drought relief in Ethiopia. So regarding the definition of humanitarian aid, they limited just to food assistance, but we believe that this shouldn't be just limited to food assistance. We believe this should also include healthcare, water, and also social programs implemented for the benefit of the people living there. So just going on to address the dispatch to their plan, what we notice is that the U.S. federal government sending aid is not going to be effective, and they have not proven the effectiveness of the U.S. federal government and their aid program. Although, so what the numbers they give us is that from 3.5, from 2.9 million people at food insecurity, the number's gone up to 10.2 million people. More people are having food insecurity, which is showing that the aid we provided is not really helping the situation, and the situation's just getting worse. So what they want to do is just throw food at the problem and believe the problem's going to solve itself. But due to the evidence they've given, we clearly see that the problem isn't improving. And we can also show that they're also going through the government. The Ethiopian government. They never stated actually how they were going to implement the food, so we are just left to assume that they're going to go through the Ethiopian government. If they're going through the Ethiopian government, they have one problem, which is corruption. Since 2013, Ethiopia's government has just lost $12 billion. $12 billion, that's a lot of money, and that's actually been taken from the people. And this isn't money that's generated by their own economy, this is money given by foreign investors and NGOs and other foreign nations. So we clearly see that the government is actually stealing money. So even though they're going through, if they're going through the government, we're going to definitely see corruption, we're going to see the government interfering. And by the way, our sources for this is the USAJ. The USAJ. So going over the second contention, which is how U.S. aid is already effective, and they talked about Haiti. And when I asked the first speaker in front of how they've been proven effective, they simply stated, lives are saved. Lives are saved. Was it 1? Was it 100? How many lives are saved? They provided no number. They provided no links. So we are left to see so therefore they have no access to their impacts if they haven't clearly linked in how U.S. aid is effective. Although they provide the Haiti example, they are really vague. So going on to the next team's counterplan. So our actor is going to be the African National Bank. Our funding is going to be normal wage means timeframe ASAP.
Can you repeat your plan, please?
Actor African National Bank. It's African Development Bank. Whoops. Funding normal ways and means. Their normal ways and means. Timeframe is as soon as possible. So. We believe that the African National Bank should be providing more humanitarian aid, and so what the difference is, our uniqueness is that we're not going to be going through the government or get caught up in government procedures. This is going to be a non-governmental organization, NGO, so therefore they'll have more effectiveness than the U.S. federal government giving aid. So currently, 8 million people in Ethiopia, 75% of the population faces food insecurity. Almost 1/3 of the population was almost $100 a day. So what this organization has actually been, so the impact of this is that people are starving, they're not getting enough food, they have a lower quality of living. So what the African Development Bank has been doing is they've been giving food, water, but not just that, they've actually been training the people there in air sectors like healthcare, which is a huge necessary business. They've currently trained up to 30,000 workers, and due to their efforts, and the BBC has, when in an interview with the Ethiopian ambassador to the USA, he stated how they project that there'll be a middle class and a class system by 2020 to 2030. So due to their efforts, they've actually been seeing real progress in Ethiopia, and people's standards of living have been improving. They've had food, but not just food. They've also had access to more healthcare. And the difference, our uniqueness is that we're not just letting them survive. We're not just giving food just so they can survive. The African National Bank is also giving them food and other necessary humanitarian aid so they can develop, so they can be sustainable on their own. The problem with the USFG giving money is we're just giving food just so they can simply survive. They're still in their status of poverty, and they're still in this really horrible place where many of citizens are dependent on this aid. Yeah.
Do you have a warrant for this?
Which claim?
That sending food isn't going to save lives at all.
Wait, that's not my claim. My claim is that we're just saving their life, but we're not actually making them sustainable on their own. That's my claim. So that's our unique. So our uniqueness is that we're actually going to be creating a more sustainable environment in Ethiopia, where they eventually, hopefully, won't have to rely on foreign aid at all, compared to the African plan of going to the USFG and just giving food just so they can sustain people's lives, which is good, but it's not good enough. So we believe a negation team plan will be more effective, and for all these reasons, we strongly negate today's resolution. The USFG should send humanitarian aid for job relief.
I'll just try.
If you've never tried, I need like a whiteboard and text the marker.
Not a lot of turns, sorry.
Yeah.
What if you bring one? Can you bring one?
Sometimes that's actually banned
have
because
more
like
whiteboards.
then I would not survive. Yes, looks like I'm gonna be right.
You have a big whiteboard behind you.
But I can't really.
It doesn't really work with that.
So as a brief off-time roadmap, I'll be addressing the negation team's counterplan. Running. Okay. Can we talk about framework, counterplan, pick bad, refuting their case, supporting our case if we have time. Any questions?
It's okay.
So, time starts now. So framework. They haven't given us a reason to prefer, so yeah. They stated that food or just food is bad, but they haven't necessarily given us a reason to prefer why we should include all humanitarian aid in general. So yeah, it's not easy. Okay, I don't know. That's okay. Anyway, counter plan. So basically, we can literally do both at the same time. So we're gonna perm this. We have access to all their advantages or whatever. I don't really know how to perm, but basically you can do both at the same time. So we can not only have the affirmative team not only has access to the affirmative team's advantages, but also to the negation team's advantages because they haven't provided a reason as to why the U.S. can't send in aid because literally we can do both. And
It's like if you don't buy this, don't buy this.
if you don't buy this, pick bad theory. They're taking our ground. Something about saving lives. I don't really.
Okay, so anyways, they're literally just changing the actor, and they're giving you all the same benefits that we have.
Okay, yeah. They're taking our ground because they're changing the actor. They're not saying why the actor itself is going to be any uniquely better than that of our actor. They're just taking all our impacts and saying that we have no access to our impacts, which is really abusive. Okay, anyway. It's infinitely regressive. They can do whatever they want. Okay. The neg team is also infinitely regressive. They can do whatever they want because plan inclusive counterplans have no limits, and this is abusive to the affirmative team. Yeah. Pick bad. Do I need anything else?
I couldn't remember anything else, so just move on.
What?
Oh, vote for us.
Oh,
Vote for us.
A priority. Vote for the affirmative team because the negation team is not doing anything uniquely better with their counter plan with their counter plan, and they're also being extremely abusive. Yeah, and they've taken away AF ground. Therefore, you should vote for us for fairness in education. This is a priority. This needs to be addressed. Theory needs to be addressed first in this round. Okay, I'm gonna repeat their case. Lives. So they talked about. So essentially, the negation team has assumed that we're in the status quo. The U.S. is giving enough aid to Ethiopia, and it hasn't. And they're saying how this hasn't been helpful. However, they've completely ignored my partner's or the first speaker's uniqueness. Because we only sent them. So we've only sent them $359 million, and this also includes NGOs. This also includes the own money the Ethiopian government's own money, and this isn't enough. We need at least $1.4 billion of aid to help. So essentially, they're assuming that we're giving enough aid. We're actually not. We're not doing enough to solve this problem by not only sending food. That's sending money that's already happening in the status quo. We're also going to be sending food, which is going to be even better. So impacts lives. Also corruption. For the lost money thing, okay, we're not giving money to the government. Also, the government has responded well to the drought crisis. Additionally, there has been drought in the past in Ethiopia. They've responded. They responded to the best of their ability. For example, there was a huge drought in 2011. There's severe drought in 2011, and the worst of it is past. But there's still a drought now, so we need to do everything we can to help them. And yeah, so this has nothing to do with money, and money doesn't link into anything. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Second contention. They said we had no link, and. Okay, so essentially, the link is that we were able to successfully send a huge an area in huge crisis and in Haiti. Historically, in the past, we've successfully been able to send them humanitarian aid. So it's not like so the link is that the Haitian government, as corrupt or as unstable as they are, their people were still able to directly receive the resources that they needed. They were able to receive 2.5 to 3 million people received water, and were directly able to receive water. And this is just one example of the many times or the many instances where the U.S. managed or was able to help this area. So help this area, which is why they'll be able to help Ethiopia. I see a link. I don't know why the negation team doesn't see a link. Yeah. Okay. So we still have access to our impacts which is lives, and the negation team impacts are exactly the same as ours. You can refer to pick bad theory. Yeah, because they could have run a bunch of other counter plans that were less abusive. But you know what? Yeah. They could have also just refuted our case and had a reason why we shouldn't send aid to Ethiopia. They could talk about why U.S. money isn't effective or U.S. aid isn't effective. They could have talked about lots of things. I'm saying this now so that if they do bring it up in their own speeches, you can see that I said it first. Because I have like a minute left, so what?
Just carved ours.
It's not gonna work.
You have like this whole advantage thing to their content. I don't even know what it was. I was so mad.
Oh, they're talking about how they're gonna train up to 30,000 workers. Okay, they're training up to 30,000 workers, and we're not just letting them survive. We're helping them sustain life. Well, first of all, this is non-unique. It's not going to do anything uniquely better. And
Mr. Leonard, they need you in the gym ASAP. Mr. Leonard, please head over to JB Hall. Thank you.
Yeah, it's non-unique. There's still going to be people giving, or even without their counterplan, there's still going to be people or non-government organizations training workers and sending in humanitarian aid to people. So, yeah, their advantages are non-unique, they're abusive, and big bad theory reason to prefer, and non-unique and theory and jargon.
Okay.
Sorry, Daeny.
I don't care about times.
Okay, so as a brief off-time roadmap, I'll be going over Pick Good, the neg counterplan, and then the app plan. So time starts now. As the second speaker of the negation team, I strongly negate today's resolution that the USFG should send humanitarian aid for drought relief in Ethiopia. So I'll be starting with Pick Good. So the app plan was to have the USFG send food, whereas the neg plan was to fund the African Development Bank, which is a regional bank dedicated to development of African nations, so that they would provide food, water, and job training. So yes, this is a plan-inclusive counterplan, but debating PICS is good.
There's a question.
Still protected time. But this is good because in real life, when we're debating plans and when policymakers debate plans, there's lots of intricate details that need to be debated and examined if we are to get a more thorough view of what's going on. So, and we're doing this now in debate. We're exploring different opportunities, whether USFG is better, African Development Bank is better. And so by doing this, we're becoming more educated policymakers, and education is important in debate. Yeah. So I'll come back to that later if I can think of anything else to say. So now I'm going to address the counterplan. So the AF team, yes? Okay, so in your first speech, you said that you would have the African Development Bank provide humanitarian aid, and now in your second speech, you're saying that, oh, we're gonna fund the African Development Bank. So how do you account for this contradiction?
Just stick with what you said and just go with it.
Yeah, we're gonna fund them. Okay, great. So,
The AF team attempted to perm our counterplan. However, the reason that this can't be done is that sending aid through the government, this is going to involve corruption, whereas the African Development Bank won't be. So doing both at the same time is bad because government corruption means that aid won't be given to people that it needs to get to, and moreover, sending foreign aid to corrupt governments means that we're actively encouraging their, yes?
But that doesn't mean you can't do it at the same time.
I'm saying that doing both is better than doing one only.
Wait, that's what we're saying.
Wait, you're saying
Oh,
that.
sorry, I meant the other way around. So, yeah, and plus when we're giving foreign aid to these corrupt countries, we're actively telling them that we support the activities of their corrupt governments and we're supporting corruption, and we shouldn't do that, which is why doing both is not better than doing just the neg counterplan. So they claim that our impacts are non-unique. However, they have their plan was to pretty much throw food at the problem. We provide food, water, and job training. They're just trying to help out Ethiopia survive. We're helping Ethiopia develop and become a more developed nation. So through food, water, and job training. So we're helping Ethiopia grow from the bottom up rather than the AF plan, which focuses more on like the U.S. government going in and doing things. What this does is it increases dependency and reliance on U.S. foreign aid, so the Ethiopian economy can never really come into its own and develop fueled by itself. It's always dependent. However, this is different in the net counterplan, which is how our impacts are going to be non-unique from AF impacts because we have a more self-sufficient economy through this food, water, and job training, focusing on development rather than just. Okay, never mind. Actually, yeah. Okay. Definition of what?
So we had the
Okay, yeah. So, for humanitarian aid, food relief, healthcare, water, and social programs, as my partner stated, should be the definition we take rather than just food, as using this definition in the round will mean that we are giving more developmental and humanitarian aid to these countries, which means that we have more ground to argue on the impacts for both sides. So for these reasons, we should take that definition for humanitarian aid as well as education. So yeah, the NEG counterplan provides unique impacts of bringing out development in Ethiopia from itself, whereas the NEG AF plan is riddled with corruption and foreign aid dependency. So because of the problems of corruption and foreign aid dependency, their plan has no solvency in the long term. They might be saving lives in the short term, but in the long run, Ethiopia is going to become dependent on foreign aid, as many countries in Africa are already if we go through with the AF plan. The NEG counterplan, it focuses on making Ethiopia a better, more developed country in the long term, as well as solving short-term problems of the drought. So, yeah. So that's why the NEG counterplan is better than the AF plan. And like I said before, you can't do both at the same time. And now I'm going to go to the AF case. So yeah, like we said, you can't just throw food through foreign aid because of corruption and foreign aid dependency. As for their second example of Haiti, showing that aid has been effective and worked before, the situation was not the same. In Haiti, there was an earthquake. In Ethiopia, there's a problem of ongoing drought. What this means is that Ethiopia needs to grow itself to deal with the problem. It can't just depend on aid all the time, which is what the ACT plan suggests. While the NEG plan, it would help Ethiopia give itself the tools to do this. So yeah, Haiti and Ethiopia are not parallel cases. Ethiopia must learn how to do this itself, and that can't happen with foreign aid. So yes? Oh wait, never mind, protected time. So for these reasons, I strongly encourage a NEG vote.
Okay.
have any news here?
Good theory that
I'm
like
just gonna-
I couldn't think of.
I was just doing real lobbying and help to us as women become better.
Bringing up women.
That's totally new.
That's very new. We will poo on you.
I'm gonna go like
I realized it was on video, right?
Yeah. Where's that shot?
generation with
It's not gonna be public, right?
All that good stuff. And then just corruption.
I mean, it was so people could actually access it.
Wait, Christie, do you guys have a contention or are you just like running a counter?
Well, we have a contention after we give our framework for counterclime.
What's that?
It was how we're going to be helping people in a more effective manner.
Oh, no, that was part of the
Well, okay. So, as the last speaker for the negation team, I strongly negate. So I'm just going to be going over how. No, I'm not. Okay, so I'm going to be first going over how going over the voter issues between the perm. Going to go over the perm theory. Then I'm going to be going over how the neg team solves for the problem more than the AF team. And if I have time, I'm going to be hitting how the AF team does not solve. Yeah, voters solve. Okay. Time. Oh wait, that's true. That's 5 seconds. Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Time starts now. As the final speaker for the negation team, I strongly negate today's resolution that the USFD should send humanitarian aid for drought relief. So the AF team in this debate has tried to curb the neg team's plan. They've claimed that PICs are bad because it takes away from fairness and education in the debate. However, what we're doing is actually modeling real policymakers by changing intricate details, and this does happen in real policymaking. So this is actually contributing to the education of this debate, and this will actually be good for everyone in the room and provide more ground for us to talk on. Therefore, we're contributing more to education. So don't vote for the AF team on their voter issue. I probably should vote for them because of the okay. So going on to our counter plan, and so our voter issue is going to be that of uniqueness because of in our plan we're not just sending food, we're also sending water, and then we have this job training program, which is part of the social programs we mentioned in the definition. So the impacts of this is by giving by contributing more to the African National Bank, they are going to be making Ethiopia not just surviving, but they're actually going to they're going to be helping Ethiopia become more of a sustainable by itself and not depending on this foreign aid. So currently, one-third of their population lives on $1 a day, and we've already mentioned how the African Development Bank has currently already trained 30,000 workers. So what we see here is that they're actually becoming more sustainable. They're learning how to provide for themselves, and the impact of this is that when we have people learning jobs and getting more educated and not just surviving but thriving, this slowly impacts out to the rest of the people, and they start to gain benefits from this too. So actually, what I like to point out is that because of the efforts of this NGO, the Ethiopian ambassador has actually stated that they think they'll actually see the middle class rise, have a middle income by 2020 to 2030, and so what we see here is that this has been proven way more effective because the key thing is we are actually not going to go through the Ethiopian government. We're going to go through this program. So so our other voter issues, we do not have corruption, unlike the AF plan. So going to the AF plan is what they plan to do is send aid from the USG in the form of food. So first of all, because they're going to be going through the Ethiopian government, there is going to be corruption, and also they aren't actually solving. They're just simply letting the people live, but those people are completely dependent on this foreign aid, and they won't be living sustainably. So what we see is that the number of people, in fact, has actually increased over time, provided by the AF team statistic on how many people that are at food insecurity in Ethiopia. So what we should be doing, although food is important, we also need to be looking at they only look at the short-term impacts. Whereas the next team, we have the long-term, we have the short-term and long-term impacts of saving lives, but also providing a more sustainable future for Ethiopia. So we believe that our plan will not have corruption as the neg team will. Our plan will not have corruption as the AF team will because we are going through an NGO. So assuming the judge does not buy the because the AF team was tried to permit, ours it's not mutually exclusive because they don't have the same benefits as us. Because what we see here is that one, they'll be losing money by they're going to be losing money by going through the government because of the corruption, but they also plan to invest in also the African National Bank. So what we see here is that they're going to have more detriments by doing both, whereas the next team is going to have less detriments because they're focusing on the one plan that does actually solve, whereas the AF team is trying to experiment with both and see what works best. So we urge the judge to vote for the plan that solves and for the plan that saves lives and looks toward the benefits of long-term impacts rather than just looking at short-term impacts. We strongly urge a negation vote for today's resolution of the USFG should no longer prioritize relations with South Africa. Yeah. Wait, that was lost yesterday's. Yeah.
Skip this part.
Yeah.
My photo actually looks pretty.
I'm gonna go really quick reputations because that's gonna connect into my voters. And then I'm gonna go. Okay, it's not new information. I can bring up new reputations in my last speech, especially since we just had the top block. Okay. She was saying it already. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Okay. And first now, as leader of the team, and let's get strongly affirmed this resolution. I'm going to be going right into definitions first. Okay, so they tell you that we should be using their definition because that gives them more ground to argue. They literally don't show you what ground our definition takes away. They just get more ground, which they already have from their pick. They already have an abusive advantage of more ground from their plan inclusive plan. Okay, moving on to address first contentions. So they talk about corruption and dependency. That's literally all the work that they do after my partner's speech. They literally just tell you to extend their corruption and dependency thing. We already repeated this in our first speech. Refer back to how, one, we're not giving them money, and second of all, Ethiopia's government has actually responded very well to this crisis. And dependency, as for that, they're literally not cutting out reliance on foreign aid either. They're still giving them food and humanitarian assistance. So either way, we see that, well, Ethiopia is going to get reliant on humanitarian assistance, right? Okay. Yeah, so they haven't actually, yeah, okay, moving on to address second contention really quickly. They tell you that Haiti isn't the same thing as Ethiopia. Okay, basically, both countries went through a time of crisis and they need help. How are these not similar? Okay, moving on to address, what am I going on? Yeah, I already talked about how, they had this advantage and their last reputation was, their plan is to throw food and we're going to make Ethiopia reliant on USAID. I already proved that that's not true because the reliance on aid thing is going to come with their counterplan too. They tell you, response to PERM, they tell you that, they're doing it through the government, and so corruption, and, yes, is that doing the negation team's counterplan is better than doing both the affirmative team's plan and affirmative team's plan. Okay, first of all, once again, we're not sending money, so there's no corruption, so we're not sending money through the government, so that's, the corruption isn't a whole problem. And second of all, they tell you that doing the negation team's counterplan is better than doing both plans at once. Okay, PERMs are a matter of being able to do both, like, literally, can these plans both be done at the same time? Not, is this one better than that one? That's not what a PERM is. Okay, so moving on to address voter issues. First voter issue is about abuse. Okay, so first of all, we have this picks bad theory, right? I don't care if it consists of only 2 arguments. But anyways, they don't refute our arguments at all. They just give you some stuff about, one, we have more thorough options, and we're going to be simulating policymakers, and they're creating education. Okay, that's
I have reputations to that. First of all, they tell you that pigs are good because we're stimulating policymakers. Okay, as the affirmative team, we weren't prepared to research this African Development Bank. We don't gain from this education. This is a very one-sided education here. Therefore, this pick isn't beneficial to everyone in the round. Okay. So literally, we're trying to scramble for all this. And second of all, they're saying that they're contributing to education. Okay, no, literally no. Okay. Fairness needs to
Point
come.
not well taken.
Okay. Fairness needs to come before education because without fairness, nobody wants to debate. Fairness needs to come before education in debate because if we don't have fairness in debate, then we're gonna lose education. Okay. So yeah, you have to consider pick good theory above their you have to consider our pick bad theory over their pick good theory. So you can just extend all the pick good arguments that we make that they're taking our ground and that they're infinitely regressive because they can do whatever they want and picks have no limits and that's inherently abusive to the affirmative team. And okay. They just don't refute that at all, so you can extend those arguments. Second of all, moving targets. So they changed their plan in their second speech. I literally asked them, how do you account for this contradiction? They just laughed and then just continued on. That's a moving target because they literally changed the text of their plan. And even if they and they might have said, oh yeah, it's one little tiny, it's completely different because now we're changing words. Okay, textual competition, whatever. It's essentially the same thing. We're still sending humanitarian aid to the same place, right? Okay, so they're literally they changed their plan, and that's abusive. And that's abusive to the affirmative team because my partner had oh my god, I only have a minute. Anyways, vote for us because we've proven that they're inherently abusive to us. Second of all, let's move on to second voter issue of reputations. They literally just extend their reputations in the second speech. They don't respond to the MGC. They I told you when I went through reputations really briefly. This is the voter issues where it ties in. Is that they just don't really address our reputation. They just extend their whole thing about corruption and how we have more food insecurity and whatever. So essentially what you can see is that our case still stands strong because anything that they might have said in their last two speeches, I just refuted. I just refuted throughout my speech. Even if you don't buy that they don't respond effectively in second and third speeches on that case, on that side. Okay, yeah. So for these two reasons, I strongly affirm today's resolution.
Swappier, Melinda, do you guys have anything?
That's true.
Well, there's that one